the most common reaction to good improv often is it has to be scripted, right? There are a lot.
Huh?
Many times I've got.
We used to get that.
Oh, right.
quite-
Yeah. People saying it. You scripted that, right? Yeah.
When I've watched Whose Line Is It Anyway as well, the first reaction as young was it has to be scripted. Something so good, it just cannot be improvised. When I've got people here, invariably at some point they're going to ask you, oh, you know what? They might have come with some idea of the character in mind, or they might have discussed what scene they want to play. That's the first reaction people have when they watch good improv. And conversely, when they watch bad improv, they just justify it by saying, oh, well, it was just improvised on the spot. So I'm going to bust both myths because there's clearly technique, there's method to the madness behind it. There are different schools of thought in improv. At times, they don't overlap. This theater is a disciple of Keith Johnstone's work, who might have positioned improv as maybe sports and games, as compared to maybe someone like Del Close, who might have positioned improv as a work of art. So I want to expand these. What are the different techniques? What are different schools of thought in improv, different philosophies?
I think they overlap in loads of ways, personally. But if you're talking about techniques, what was the earlier thing you said about what you want out of this? No, sorry.
The audience going like this must have been.
Oh, the audience going. You know what was an interesting thing that we did was at the beginning, you almost felt like we have to ask a suggestion from the audience to prove that this is improvised. And at some point, again, I can't remember who told us, they said, they will say it or they won't say it. Doesn't matter. You don't have to go out of your way to prove that. And you don't have to take the first suggestion they give you just because you want to prove it's improvised. It is or it isn't. We had one performer, Michelle. Were you there when Michelle was around? Syrian dude who went to the States. So Michelle's mom came and watched. His own mom came and watched for years and refused to believe that it was not rehearsed. So there's no point leading into trying to prove. Personally, I don't think you have to go out of your way to prove it. And that's where we went as a philosophy in the theater. And surprisingly, it reduced people going, is this planned?
How do you describe Keith Johnstone's techniques and his philosophy?
Marie.
I think Keith Johnston is very much
She's
about
met Keith, by the way.
Yeah, wow.
Nice.
I think Keith is very much about just the very the brutal, honest reality of improv. Moving away from showbiz. That's a lot of what Keith is about. And also, there's a lot of formats that he's created that allows different levels of players, different levels of experience to mix together, which I think is really great. I think when I compare what we do to what other places in the world do, who are more Del Close and the other schools of thought, is it's very systemized. They've systemized improvisation. So, for example, when I went to a festival somewhere, I think it was in Greece. Oh God, I don't think anyone's going to watch. Whatever. In Greece, I mean, they have like a whole program where
I have a massive Greek audience.
oh shit.
I don't know.
That's his primary audience.
That's my only demographic.
It's gonna be
This is
subtitled in
sponsored
Greek.
by a Greek yogurt company.
no.
They'll all just tune out being like...
So basically what they do is like the first year you are not allowed to step foot on stage, but you do a whole year of improvisation. The second year you can have one show and you have to do a whole year of improvisation. Third year, so you have to do 3 years of lessons.
I thought that was a myth.
No, this is really a thing.
'Cause I've heard about
This
This
is
different
Keith's
schools.
work or this is a separate...
No, not Keith's
start?
work.
Okay, this is
not Keith's work. And it's like 3 years you have to really work hard to even be allowed to step foot on stage and perform. And we really and what Keith is like, it's like you can have someone do one improv class and be amazing because it's a muscle that you practice. And some people already have that mindset and that muscle. You can do one workshop and be an amazing performer.
Can you be
where
born with it?
It definitely can be something that's more instinctual to you. Like I think,
Personality-wise.
yeah, personality-wise, and like some people come in and they don't have that fear of failure, just genetically or the way they were raised, and that's already one less hurdle we need to get. Like as teachers, we need to
Or
figure
someone
out.
might be a good listener.
Yeah. So the way that we do our workshops is you take one course you have to take. That's Don't Panic. And that's introducing you to our fundamentals of improv. Even if you've done improv in the States, the way we practice improv, Keith Johnstone, is very different. So we need to 6 weeks, literally 2 hours once a week for 6 weeks.
What's the difference?
It's very much, we're all about failure is okay. It's okay to make mistakes. That's one of the main things that we really focus on. That's not as massively focused on. And there's a lot of formats that are practiced, like for example, in the US, like, oh God, what are the names of them?
The Harold.
And stuff.
the
No,
Armando.
we don't really do those. We don't touch on that. Our things are Maestro, a Keith Johnston format.
We did a very early
We
on.
tried it.
Just a side note, history was we did try the UCB format, which is heightening. We tried Harold. We did actually try it a couple of times, and I think probably led by Kempsey. We found Keith's work to. You said systematic, structured, within a certain structure to play within it, and I think most. Even Harold is some kind of structure in that sense.
Yeah, it's very structured. I think what I was going to say is So like you do one course and then from there on you can take other courses like story, spirit, but there's no structure and we don't stop you from signing up to be able to perform. I mean, the casting director
Oh yeah,
chooses
people
at
jump
the end of the
in
day.
to shows.
But I think also because we're in Dubai, we kind of have to have the system because like, for example, if you're in a country where you're going to be there for 3 years and then after 3 years you can start performing, that's awesome. But Dubai is so transient that in 3 years from now, to be very honest, the people that would be with us are going to be completely different because they would have left Dubai, new people would have come in.
That's how we really stay on top. Everyone leaves.
That's why we're the best.
Learning a lot.
No one
Okay, so
else is
leave,
remaining.
be poor.
Yeah,
This is gonna make you a
This
good
is
improviser.
great. No, she's absolutely. I don't know. I think even if people weren't leaving Dubai that much, I think we personally do like challenging people to just jump on and stuff. I don't think we would like to keep people off for 3 years off stage. Generally, I hope not that we wouldn't go that
No,
way.
it's a little. I
It's
feel like it's
weird
a
to
little
me.
systematic, as in like you could have an amazing performer and still tell them, nope, you got to wait 2 more years. Well, why would you do that?
That is so weird. I like the fact that
Can
sometimes
you stop dissing the Greek audience?
No, it's not just them.
They're in the
It's-
middle of
No, no,
the
so
third year right now.
I've
and
heard about
they're
this.
just like, oh, why are we doing this?
No, I've heard this in the US as well with some improv clubs. So I thought it was a myth or over exaggerated thing.
Because people come to us and they're like, because if you've only done improv with us, like some people be like, oh my God, I only got to perform twice this month. This is so sad. I'm like, and then some of them actually travel and they move to Canada. We have a friend of ours, Tarek, he moved to Canada. He can vouch for how crazy different the systems there are. He came back and he's like, you guys are giving so many people so many opportunities to perform. This is amazing because when I was in Canada, oh my goodness, it was so hard. So like, it really is very different the way that we do stuff.
Yeah, stage time does matter. Rushdi, what techniques, philosophies, schools of thought work for you? Yeah, it's a what question.
Actually, the thing
You
I
forgot
have-
to say it's
I
a great question.
I have 2 friends. No, that's in filler.
That's in?
I have filler
Filler.
section. Keith Johnstone is the perfect example for what will work in Dubai, because different people, different mindsets, different ages, different traumas, PTSD levels. The thing about Keith Johnstone is be obvious, be average, be boring. I remembered the last part, but I wanted to make it look like I was adding. But
No, but
these 3 things.
Nicely done.
No, he's real though. I feel like people can't take you
So
seriously
these
now.
3 things, if anyone can do this, you can improvise. Doesn't mean you're good, doesn't mean you're bad. But if you can be average, if you can be obvious and
Boring.
boring,
No, I'm
And-
serious.
They are such a married couple already.
if you can do these 3 things, you can improvise. And once you achieve these things, we can move on to the next lesson.
At times, I feel like there's a contradiction between these different schools of thought because with
Oh, yeah,
Keith
there is.
Johnstone, there is be obvious, be average,
There
be,
is no
Boring.
I
be
don't-
boring.
They don't know this.
I don't think there's so much contradiction. There's actually more overlap. I think the style that is very different is that Keith's work is also very director reliant, a lot of the formats. And so it is kind of protected in that sense. And then when you go further out towards like Harold or UCB, the director goes away and it's a whole...
Lucky for you, Salman, I got receipts because in the book,
What did I say before?
in the book Improv, Keith Johnstone says be obvious, be average, be
Boring.
boring. But in Truth and Comedy, Del Close says don't go with your first thought. Go with your third thought because the first thought is often superficial. The second thought is a bit too critical. The third thought is when you've internalized. So Keith Johnston's saying be obvious, be average, just make the first choice. The interaction matters more. Del Close is saying, you know what, take a moment to just go with your third thought.
I disagree with Del Close here.
No, but
I'll let him know.
I don't disagree with either or. We've done some exercises to go when you're building instinct in new players, and I think that also matters. I was going to say skill
Depends
level.
on who you're teaching.
Yeah, but skill level as well. So if you're doing Keith Johnston's work, you can play it with newer people who need to learn to let go and be instinctual.
And go with their first
Yeah,
thought.
then you're looking at Harold and stuff, and I wouldn't put perform. You know, in the States, particularly where it probably originated, right? You have people who've got much more background in theater and blah blah blah. We get people coming in joining
Corporate
who-
background.
This is like their
Yeah.
first time on stage. They've never done any acting. They've never done
Even in school, it wasn't.
Even in school, no. You grew up in the Middle East, there was no theater. Now they do, but now, back in the day, it wasn't. It was the morning assembly where you read off a poem and
Today's
hoped you
kids
weren't
won't
paying-
know.
Yeah. They don't know the struggles we went through. So I think that's a big change. And also how we understand things. If you're a beginner, even Keith stuff about yes and, it's literally saying yes to everything. But as you progress, you kind of go,
It's
the
guidelines,
philosophy.
not rules.
Yeah, and the philosophy behind it is to create a safe environment with your performer,
To
trying
build
adjust
on
and
the
go.
scene.
Yeah, that's the essence of it. But newcomers will take it practically and go, yes, and
I think for us, because we spend so much time, like Sal said, teaching new people who this is their first time ever being introduced to this. Like that's why
I
I
have
think
to remind
which
myself
is,
in
yeah,
classes
which
that-
is why we use Keith's philosophies. Because if we were to say to those new people, "Oh, go with your third thought," it would make their fear of failure so much worse because they'd be in their head going, "Oh, not that one, not that one, this one." So we deal with so many brand new people that like I'm just giving a colleague advice the other day because she was like, "What do I do if I don't know what to do?" I'm like, literally, the first thing that comes into your head, just do it. Do anything, do it. So I think that we really focus on
building
new
blocks,
people.
right?
And like Rushdi was saying, we have those formats like Maestro, which work beautifully in Dubai because you have experienced players mixed with brand new players and they work so well together.
Yeah.
And you need that for a place like
Yeah.
Dubai where you
And
don't
you-
have everyone that's experienced.
over and over, we've seen a natural evolution of people who come in, start performing, and then they get to a certain level and they start going, let's create our own formats. The four of us will perform, and so on and so forth. But you need that first skill building.
Yeah.
You got to know the rules before you start breaking them.
It's
You
a
got
good
to
starter
build
point.
your strengths. Yeah.
I don't think this region will ever have a Del Close / Saturday Night Live / Whose Line Is It Anyway format.
Why?
The numbers. Whenever we perform, the nationalities are above 20. We're not performing to one age, mindset, race. Like it's always a diverse room. So Keith's way of starting off something simple, whether it's a family scene, a park, a beach, whatever, all that works. Whereas Del Close is a little bit more like we're in space and you're an astronaut and you're an angel and start, or that abstract, and it works for an ensemble who's very who knows each other well and are mentally like hive mindset.
When you think about
Otherwise,
it,
it's very difficult.
the Who's
You
Line
can't-
guys have been performing together for like 25 years. I mean, there is a group of us who have been performing together for a long time, but even then, the times that we actually align our calendars, it's like once in a blue moon.
And
I
we
think
do different shows, and there are different training methods. And I mean, if they're doing film noir improvise, everyone's talking in an accent. So that takes about a month, 2 months.
so. The
you
kind
know.
of stuff that we specialize in, that we do, that's very different from our regular stuff, is our genre nights. And we do them very sparsely because we want to do them properly. Like Rushdi said, we do film noir improvised. We do Jane Austen improvised. We do Sing It, which is happening in October. Yeah,
All
the
right.
improvised musical. Me and Sal high-fiving because we're the ones who like really bring down the energy. 'Cause we're
I would
really
say
bad
bring
the
down.
ink it
They're
to
like
sing it.
really bad singers. Really bad singers.
they're
Talent we have.
They have passion.
But I also watch out for it. I don't think we even make it up with passion.
Just take it, man. He can edit it. He
But
can
I
edit
think
it to make it
context
look-
is important too with these things. Like if you're talking about being obvious and stuff, they're also essentially talking about the same thing. I think when Del Close says, think of the third idea, he's talking to people going with the first idea, I'm trying to be clever. Right? And they're like, there's a fish, I'm going to become
snappy
a
comment.
alien that eats fish. And you're like, what? So it's almost like going,
Trying to play to
listen,
the audience, maybe.
yeah, just I want to be out of the box. I want to be creative and stuff. And I think they're both kind of saying the same thing
Be
about
obvious.
be obvious and pick the next obvious thing in there. So necessarily context-wise also, what are you doing? Like, I think they mean the same thing.